Today we're going to be talking about how to reframe your mind. Because if you want to do anything in life, especially try to be successful, the stories we tell ourselves are super, super important. And if having a positive mindset is even more important. So how do we do that? How do we reframe our mind? Well, it's about the stories that we tell ourselves that keep us stuck, keep us feeling negative. A lot of times when things are going wrong, it's the stories that we tell ourselves like, oh, this always happens to me, or oh, of course this happened to me, or I always get loud neighbors, or people always cut me off, or people always ignore me when I'm talking. If you keep telling yourself these stories, for one, you're going to feel crappy when these things happen, and you're going to be like, of course, and you're going to tell yourself again and again and again. But also, when you keep telling yourself this, the universe provides whatever it is that you want, whether it's negative or positive. It's always sending things to you. You're always attracting things from the universe. And so when you tell stories like this to yourself, the universe thinks that this is what you like, this is what you want. So it's going to keep sending you those situations. You're going to keep affirming them by saying, of course, this always happens to me. So what can we do instead? Because that's obviously going to keep us in a negative mindset. Well, the opposite. Super simple, I know, but it took me months, and actually kind of took me years of, well, it really took me months consistently of doing this, about 2 to 3 months consistently doing this. And then I started doing this a few years back. One story that I want to tell you about real quick is a really nice one about reframing, but also it's kind of a bonus here on bringing people to your level instead of them bringing you down to their level. So one time when I was living in California, we were driving to the beach to go vend. We used to sell jewelry on the beach, and we were on our way there, turning my van in, and there was this guy. He's homeless, kind of causes a scene a lot, but super nice guy, other than he was, kind of has his little moments here and there. What had happened was they're always up early doing something. It was about 6 a.m., sun was barely coming up, and we were whipping into the parking spot that we found, and I was trying to stay wide because he was in the middle of the cul-de-sac swinging this giant golf club. And I was trying not to, be near him because I didn't want him to have any excuse to be like, you're in my way or whatever, because that's usually the situation that happens. And, believe it or not, that's exactly what happened. Even though I stayed wide, he swung his long arms, because he's a super tall guy, he's about 6 foot, and he still hit my van with the golf club. Now, Kaylee on my side and I both got like kind of furious about that. Like, what the heck, like I stayed wide. I told her I was going to stay wide. And I got out of the van, and I can hear him already like screaming like, oh my gosh, you hit me. Like, what the heck? I can't believe you just hit me. And so I stopped because I had to come around this big long van. And as I was walking around, I was like, I just watched a video on somebody talking about trying to bring them to your level. So I reframed my story. I was like, you know what? He's hurting way more than I am. He has a hard life. Things are not going well for him, and I'm having a pretty positive life, and things are going well for me. So who knows what situation, what caused him to do this? Maybe it's attention, whatever. But I'm going to try to bring him up to my level. So as I'm walking around the van, I'm telling this story instead of being like, what the heck, this guy, like, what a jerk. I could be telling that story and keeping me in a small vibration where I'm going to go and try to attack him, and then we're going to argue about it, and then maybe cops are going to be called, and the cop could have maybe sided with me, but it didn't matter because that's not what I was looking for. I was just like, this could be de-escalated pretty quickly. So reframed my mind with that story, came around, and I said, hey man, are you okay? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit you. I tried to stay wide, but I guess I wasn't wide enough. And he stops instead of yelling, because he was already yelling. And he stops and goes, no, I'm okay. I'm okay. It's not, you didn't hit me. It was the golf club. He's like, I'm sorry about that too. He's like, I didn't even see you pulling in. And I was like, yeah, that was my bad. I really should have like honked or waited a little bit. I saw you swinging. I stayed wide, but hey man, are you okay? Is there anything that I can do for you? And he said, no, I'm okay, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. And then we just went on with our days instead of having this like negative situation, this negative like moment, and then him staying negative. And like I said, cops getting involved, and people started to walk up when they saw it happening. It's just like once they saw us de-escalate, it was like, that was it. So super important lesson in that story of like, a lot of times, things aren't personal. People are struggling worse than you are. They say if we all throw our problems into a pile, you're going to see other people's problems. You're going to want to pick yours out, so back out and not take other people's. So, always kind of remember that, like, you don't know what people are going through. and remind yourself of this. Because like we all know this, like as I'm telling you this, like people are going through struggles that you don't understand or you would never know. And that's something that you just have to remind yourself. But to keep reframing your mind and to keep practicing this is what is the most important lesson in this video, because that's what made it so that like now I immediately go to the good story if I'm trying to, because like your mind is always, and maybe eventually it goes away, but your mind's always going to kind of like, things are going to happen and your mind's going to go to like a place where it's like, why did that happen? You know, because it wants to figure things out usually. But there's really no point to figuring things out of why they happen. When it's like a situation like someone cutting you off or someone saying something rude to you or, you know, commenting something negative online or whatever, like it's usually not personal and it's something going on inner in them, or they're not even paying attention, like people cutting you off in the, you know, while you're driving. So what really helped me was trying to find, you know, my purpose when I was driving for DoorDash. And a lot of times people don't tip very well in that. And one thing that I did was I found my purpose by saying, you know, maybe these people, I'm delivering food for people that can't, you know, don't have vehicles, but still want to like enjoy their food and have something nice to eat. Or maybe they can't walk it up and down the stairs. That's why I'm taking these groceries up this, you know, these 3 flights of stairs for them in an apartment because they have a bad back or a bad, you know, whatever it is. And that kind of helped me find my purpose with, you know, my deliveries. And then also when it came to, you know, the reframing my mind was I told stories of like, because sometimes I got cash, you know, we'd have to do cash sales and DoorDash would pay a certain amount. So I got like a certain amount for the drive, but they'd be like, the pizza's $29.79. So collect that and whatever extra cash they give you, that's the tip. And sometimes they would just give me $30, or if it was $19, they gave me $20 and it was like no tip. And your immediate reaction is like, what a jerk, you know, like why wouldn't they tip me, you know? But I always just told myself like, they're enjoying their food. Okay, I got the money and DoorDash did pay me a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit. And maybe they can't afford it and they just want it because it was always with a family or like somebody, you know, it wasn't just by themselves. It was like, maybe he wants to treat his child and his wife to a nice pizza dinner and he can't afford to tip right now. And that's totally okay because, you know, those things happen and people still want to enjoy the luxuries of life. And every time, you know, like I said earlier in the beginning of this video, like when you keep affirming your negative beliefs, they're just going to keep coming back to you. Super amazing thing was that when I decided to reframe my story and tell a different story, every time something like that happened and I stayed positive, the next sale was like tenfold. Like I got a $22 sale or $22 drive for like 1 mile. That like takes me like 10 minutes. So like it like doubled that. Or like another time I did a cash one because I stayed positive and believing that, you know, there's good out in the world, and the guy tipped me $25. And now, you know, obviously like it doesn't change everything in the world. Like I still get sometimes crummy orders here and there, but when I decide to just like not complain about it, the next one's always going to be like double that. And I get way less of them now because in the beginning it was like a lot. When I was complaining about things, it was a lot. And lastly, I'll try to tell this story about, you know, I used to be depressed and things were going bad. I wasn't making good money. And I kept telling myself like, you know, I don't deserve money anyways, or I don't deserve to be happy when I would feel this way. Because if you watched my last video, it talks about how food affects your mood. I should have said this in the beginning, but my last video was about food affecting your mood, and it really does. And I would a lot of times be like treating my body bad because I was in bad situations, and that would make my serotonin, you know, not send as well or whatever, and give me like negative feelings from my stomach, and I turned those negative anxiety feelings into thoughts, and then I would start thinking about them and then retell the stories of how I don't deserve this and I don't deserve happiness and stuff, and then get more negative and keep telling myself those stories. And it's just like an endless cycle of bullshit that will keep you negative. And then sometimes I would just spiral and like really freak out and just have to go for a long walk because I'm just like, you know, gonna freak out. And I used to have like anger issues, and this is, you know, things where I would tell myself these stories as well. You know, I'm an angry person. This is a way of protecting myself, just like all these bad things. And then one time I was like halfway through one of those like, you know, episodes or whatever you want to call them. And I kind of stopped myself, and my fiance was there trying to like help me out of that as well, talk to me and tell me all the positive things. And I started to actually stop thinking about the negative and start thinking about the positive. And this is also a time where I was eating better as well. So the anxiety feelings weren't so like strong inside of me, but even if they are, it's just coming from your food first that we turn it into thoughts. But I started thinking about the positive instead and distracted myself with a podcast, and no manic episode, no like craziness happened. And then from there I was like, whoa, like I don't have to like spiral down and like be negative and have like a bad day or bad week. And that's kind of where it started my whole like, man, I can really like reframe my whole stories and stuff. So now, you know, because I still have enjoyed the human experience and eat bad food every once in a while. And then the next day when I have these feelings of anxiety, it's not like, oh, it's because my life sucks. It's because of this. It's because I had Taco Bell. It's because I had Jack in a Box. And then I'm like, that's okay, you know. And then I retell these stories again of like something positive that's going on, or I think of all the things that I'm grateful for in my life, and then I feel better again. It's just like a little moment of like, anxiety feeling coming from the stomach, my thoughts turning it into like, uh-oh, things are gonna go bad, and then me saying like, no, stepping away from that, observing those thoughts, you know, not wondering why they're there, where they're coming from, and just being like, actually, I have a good life. I make good content that I get to share with people. I have meditations that I get to help people out with and have classes like that. I'm making decent money. I have a house. I get to eat good food. I have a beautiful fiance. I have a wonderful place that I sleep. I have animals. Are animals that I love. I have a daughter that I love. My mom, I love. My family. Like, I get to think about those things, and then I'm like, oh yeah, things are actually great right now. And then when you feel good, more good things come. And then when more good things come, you feel better, and when you feel better, more things come, better things come, and it just keeps, I've just been elevating ever since. And I'm also not like focusing on like trying to make it to the top right now. Like I'm really enjoying like being present and being like enjoying the process of all this, and realizing like this is like what's helping me, like this is what living is like just like learning and growing from these situations and changing and being like, dang, you know, like I said yesterday to my fiance, I was like, I was like, we were both in the bathroom, and I was like, I love growth. Like I just love the process of learning and realizing like, I don't have to be that way anymore. I don't have to do that anymore. And then she's like, what do you mean growth as in like muscle growth? Because like we've been working out a lot too. And I'm like, well, that too, but no, just like literally like energy growth, like growing as a person. Like it's just an amazing thing to realize that you don't have to stay the same, and how happy you can be if you decide to stop telling yourself those negative stories. So yeah, I just wanted to make a video about that because I felt like it's super important. I hope that you know, anyone who stayed to the end got something out of this and realized that you don't have to keep telling yourself these negative stories. Like it's time to start stopping when we realize that like things are happening, things are popping up in our head, and being like, okay, depending on what it is, you know, if it's somebody else caused it, like first of all, don't let them affect your mood and change and control your life. Because if you're reacting to them and now doing something, yelling at them or tweeting because of them, like they just controlled your life. Like now you're doing something else that you wouldn't be doing because somebody else made you feel a certain type of way. Like don't let somebody control your energy that way and control your life. And if it's something coming up for yourself, realizing that, or thinking that you have, you know, you don't have a good situation, or whatever negative things comes up inside of you, you know, I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, stop, observe, let the thought pass, and start telling yourself, you know, the positive things that you have in your life, that you're able to even feel these things. You're able to walk around and go outside and use your feet and your legs, and you're able to breathe deeply and relax. You're able to, you know, have good food. You're able to converse with friends, like whatever it is. If you're watching this on a phone, that you have a phone in the first place, and you're able to consume good content if you want to, or decide to be, you know, relaxing and mindlessly scroll, whatever it is, like just find something that makes you feel like, dang, you know, actually things are fine. And you'll notice that it only takes 90 seconds or so for you to distract yourself, because there's this like rule that 90 seconds the thought will come through and try to affect you. And if you just distract yourself for 90 seconds, do something else, do some push-ups, you know, laugh about the situation, then you'll realize that it's going to pass. And then if it comes up again, do the same thing. And the more you do this, the more automatic it'll be when things do pop up. So yeah, I hope this video helped, guys. If you got you know, anything out of this content, please like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Leave a comment down below letting me know how this made you feel. Let's start a conversation down there. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.